Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to your practice this morning. Just a little disclaimer, there is some construction activity going on right outside this window. So if you hear some noises, that's what it is. No worries to be had about that. And thank you for understanding. This week, I was able to have a conversation with a friend of mine about really the importance of the first three chakras and how they are often referred to as the earthbound chakras. And I've experienced this in my own life where we can get a little bit stuck in the first three, and it moves kind of like a cycle. And we're always kind of ruminating and bouncing around from the first, second, and third chakras. And it's not allowing us to have a lot of access to the higher chakras, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, and so on. And it kind of interferes with our own intuition, our fire that we have inside of us, our desires to do things with discernment. So our practice today, we're going to focus mostly on the first and second chakra and bringing those back into balance. We could think of that as being kind of a daily practice, right? To keep ourselves into balance and this constant daily checking in to see where we are so that we can have access to, as we often talk about in Hunger, Hope, and Healing, like the lighthouse that we are, that we're able to be the lighthouse for ourselves and see the other parts of ourselves, and to see those parts with wisdom, with compassion, with kindness, but recognizing that the lighthouse is where we want to be acting from, and we want to hold all the parts of ourselves with compassion. And so that will be our focus. And if you have anything coming to mind for you, like ways to cultivate safety and connection, ways to allow yourself to be a little more vulnerable to those who feel safe, you can call that to mind. You can call to mind places, people, animals, things that make you feel as if you belong, because we all do. And as you start to maybe get a sense of what some of those things might be, you can hold some space for those. As we close the eyes, lengthen up in your seat so that you create a sense of grounding by noticing the parts of you that are in contact with the earth or the support of the earth, maybe a bolster beneath you, and that you can rise and lengthen through the spine and the torso and the crown of the head from this grounded sense. And as you let your breath be your focus for now, work on the gradual deepening of the breath. Let that be a slow process. Perhaps you just first start feeling the breath into the lower lobes of the lungs. Feeling that you're using all the capacity in your lungs for your breath. And then you might be able to notice the breath in the belly. Sensing into the rise and fall of the belly that correlates with each inhalation and exhalation. And perhaps today you have access to feeling the breath in the pelvis. But as you're filling yourself with each inhalation and exhalation, you can let that sensation of the breath in the pelvis remind you that you can be grounded, and still there can be space. There can be lengthening. And as you continue with these long, slow breaths, I am going to do a chant with the sounds of the first three chakras. It's okay if you don't know them, or if chanting is new to you, you can just listen. Just listening to the sounds and sensing how your body reacts to hearing these. The first sound is lum, and that is for the first chakra. Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. Second chakra. Wum, 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 wum. Wum, 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 wum. Wum, 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 wum. Third chakra. Rum, 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 rum. Rum, 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 rum. Rum, 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 rum. And over the next few cycles of breath, just noticing your body's response, the sense of curiosity. And then when you're ready, gently opening the eyes. Begin to inhale the arms up, nice and easy. Exhaling down. We're just going to do this several times. So take your time here. Want to have the whole of the movement last for the whole cycle of the breath. A couple of more times. Starting this gentle awakening this morning. You can release as we come down, the hands back to the lap, extend the arms forward, interlace the fingers and press the palms away from you. Thumbs can come down as pinkies extend toward the sky, shoulders moving down the back, but you're still keeping a nice long spine here. And if you can, sense the breath in between the shoulder blades, a little bit of tone in the low belly, slight bend of the elbows. Arms come up and over, really pressing to the sky. You can take the gaze up if you would like. Perhaps there's a sensation of the low ribs moving away from the pelvis. And taking a couple of long, slow breaths here. As your next exhale comes, we'll release and twist to your right. The gaze goes into the twist as well, only as far as is comfortable on your neck. Some long, slow breaths. Check in to see that you are not forcing anywhere in this twist. You are giving yourself room to be not at your edge, but just a bit before. Allowing the body some space to open. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, second side. Nice, long, slow breath. Remembering that sense of belonging, that sense of connection that helps set the base, the foundation, if you will, for wise discernment. Inhaling, coming back to center. Once more, we'll interlace the fingers, pressing up. Couple of breaths. And then keep the fingers interlaced, coming back down, pressing forward. And a release. We can change the cross of the legs here. Sitting nice and tall. The belly can kind of get scooped toward the center a little bit. This gives a little more room for coming forward. We'll come forward any amount that feels comfortable for you. So if you're sitting on a support like I am, you want to press back into that support. Coming forward, you can stay on the tips of the fingers. You can come to the palms. You might even like to try a block under your hands if you feel like that might be more supportive. A couple of long, slow breaths here. And next time you find yourself coming to an exhalation, go ahead and walk over to your right any amount. Want to keep the hips nice and rooted. Again, some long, slow breaths, especially if you have found that there's a little bit of a sensation here. And then we will come back to center. Pause here for a breath or two. And then second side for that twist. Breathe. Back through center. Once more, a couple of breath cycles here. You may have noticed that there's a little more space. And then gently start to walk your hands back. Coming back up. And we'll take the left leg out in front. The right leg can stay bent in if your knee is up high, just take a block or a rolled up blanket to press underneath. We're going to be rooted into wherever our seat is. Again, we're going to fold forward here. So the belly, if you can make a little space and move it kind of together to center, this will allow you to have some more space to come forward. And there is no goal to how far forward you're going to come. It's just going to be whatever is comfortable for you. So let's inhale the arms up so we can create some length and then come forward. Just let the hands come wherever they fall. Again, you're really staying rooted down in your seat, lengthening in the spine. Keep the head and neck in line with the spine. And find your breath here. Slow, steady breathing. We'll do 2 more long cycles of breath. And as your inhalation comes, bring yourself gently up. Nice. Take your hand to the outside of your right knee and help to bring that knee up. We're going to twist to the right. But before we do that, the one to notice is your belly kind of squish into here. So I like to take my thigh out and move my belly over a little bit. And this helps me to get a little bit more area to twist into. And so you will inhale, left arm up, exhale, twisting, and you can wrap or just hold on to the outside of the knee. The knee stays pointed up. Your right hand will be anywhere that feels supportive to you. Sometimes I need a block back there, so you might like to try that if you are feeling like you're struggling getting your hand to a place that feels good. You can close your eyes here if that feels comfortable. Bringing once more to mind those people, places, things that help you feel connected, help you have a sense of belonging. And your next inhalation will come forward, and we're going to switch legs. So taking your right leg out, left leg in. Again, finding some support under the knee if that is what you need. And sides are different, so please adjust accordingly. Inhaling, both arms up. Exhaling forward. If you need to come back in and adjust the belly, do so. Hands wherever you are comfortable. Press your right heel into the earth. The toes can flex a little bit, so you have some energy moving through the right leg. Slow and steady in the breath. You might like to just notice kind of what happens to you in your mind when we stay in postures. Can you practice focusing on your breath? You're really not engaging with any thoughts or preferences that are coming up in the mind. And the next time you find yourself coming to an inhalation, let yourself come back up. And gently on the outside of that left knee, bringing the left knee up. And we want to keep the knee toward the sky. I'm going to move mine aside momentarily to shift the skin of the belly in. Sitting up nice and tall, inhaling the right arm, exhaling, twisting. Again, find the support that you need for your hand that is behind you. Just breathing nice and slow. You might be able to feel the pressure of the skin against the thigh changes with each breath cycle, with each inhalation, with each exhalation. That's a good place to focus your awareness. You find your mind wandering. Your next inhalation, you can come back to center. Extend the legs. Go ahead and wiggle. Point and flex the toes. Nice, everyone. And then bring your soles of the feet together. Legs out in our butterfly shape. Hands can go to the knees. We're not going to stay here too long, so it's okay to not have support. So we're just going to circle the hips a little bit here. And you can move the shoulders as well. Whatever feels good here. And second direction. Pausing at center, nice long inhalation. Nice long exhalation. And then taking your hands on the outsides of the knees, bringing them back. And we can clear off the mat for right now. We'll come to standing and have your blocks at the top of your mat. Okay. As you find yourself in standing, take your feet a comfortable distance apart. We are going to be folding forward. So sometimes to make a little more space for your body, the feet can go a little bit wider so that you can make space for the belly when you're folding forward. That's definitely up to you. And let's see how it feels. Lift the toes and just do a little slight back and forth and side to side to really connect with all the parts of our feet that really most of the time go unnoticed unless they're bothering us. And then let the toes come down. Slight bend in the knees, especially if you know you lock your knees pretty easily. And we'll just start to inhale and exhale several times. Again, let's have it so that this whole movement goes with your whole breath cycle. So the whole inhalation to take the arms up, the whole exhalation to take the arms down. Okay, next time the arms come up, we're going to fold forward into Uttanasana. So you can bend the knees slightly, come down. This is where your blocks come in handy. So you can use your hands under the blocks if you need that for support. See if you can let the head really relax and hang down. You might even like to take the head side to side and back and forth to see that you're letting go of any unnecessary tension. Don't forget, if your hands easily come to the floor, you can use them there. We just have the supports for when we need them. Couple of more breath cycles here. Pressing into the feet. Draw the belly in. Coming up nice and easy. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling down. One more time. Inhaling up. Exhaling, fold forward. Slow, steady breath. Inhaling, coming up. Exhaling down. Beautiful, everyone. Your wide stance. Wide stance. Toes are pointing forward. So the pinky side of your foot is parallel to the shorter side of your mat. And then we want to press into the pinky sides of the feet to really activate the legs here. Draw the core in, lift the belly, and start to hinge from the hip crease. Find your blocks and walk them out so that they are about underneath your shoulders. So this nice flat back shape. Engage your core, your abdominals here to support your low back. We'll do several long, slow breaths here. And then we can take the blocks out so that the arms become nice and straight. Hips are moving back. It's kind of a wide-legged version of downward dog. Slow and steady breath. And then bring the blocks back rather. Draw your abdominals in to support the low back. Press strongly into the feet. Bring yourself up. Hands to the hips. We'll just pause here. Sometimes this can feel like a very energizing or empowering posture just to stand like this. Take a couple of breaths, bringing again to mind things in your life that help you with connection, with a sense of belonging. Okay, then just bring your feet in together a little bit more. Take the toes out wide. And we're going to bend with the knees out. And you can shift the hips a little bit here. Kind of get your position where it feels good. Draw the core in. We're going to inhale the arms up. Exhale into the skull pose shape. Okay, goddess pose, we call this. Take some long, slow breaths here. Again, bringing to mind connection and safety. And then we can link those to how we have wise discernment. It just comes right in. We can feel it in the core of us, where that lighthouse is. Couple of more breaths here. You might be feeling that little fire start burning, that thing, that drive that we have that has us showing up for our yoga practice, showing up to make sure we are hydrated enough and having time outside and all of the things that we need. Okay, release. Come up. Take the toes forward again. Might want to lengthen the legs a little bit. You're going to hinge to come forward. This time, you can fold forward as much as your body has access to. So that might be on a lower level for the blocks. It also might be hands on the floor, head coming down. If you have access to this, you can start to walk your hands back a little bit so they're more towards the back end of your mat and let the head hang down. Keep the legs active. Some nice, slow, steady breaths here. And then find the blocks if you set them to the side. Coming up halfway first. Pause here. Engage your core. And then come up. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, hands to center. Anjali Mudra, we call this. And then you can release. Bring your feet together. I'm going to shake everything out here. Arms to. Oh, then come just to standing in Tadasana. Couple of long, slow breaths. I just want you to check in with yourself. See how your practice is affecting your energy thus far, how your body's feeling. And also check in with the state of your mind, with your breath. Want to create these little noticings throughout your practice so that they become really familiar to you. And that your body and mind will start to really crave the effects of our yoga practice, knowing that that's what brings us back to center. And we can release that. And the blocks are going to stay in front of you. I'm just going to move mine up a little bit so I have some more space. Stand pretty close to your blocks, maybe a couple of inches away, and go ahead and take your left foot back. It doesn't need to be back super far either. And take the toes out just a little bit. Okay, the hips, when you're like this, your hips usually will go to the side. So we want to see if we can bring them forward as much as possible. But don't do anything that's painful. That is not yoga. Okay, so forward. Again, we're going to press into the legs pretty strongly. Lift, especially think of lifting those ribs. And then hinge forward to find your blocks. And this is where you might like to adjust your stance. You might need to make it a little bit wider. You might need to make it a little bit longer. See what feels good for you. You have some abdominal engagement here. Okay, so you're protecting the back like that with the abdominal engagement. Taking some long, slow breaths. And you can see what happens if you try to take your right hip back just a little bit. You might get a little bit more of a sensation of making space on that right side. And if there's access, you can start to fold forward. And two, you can take the belly more toward the center here to give yourself some more space. Use the blocks for support underneath the hands. Find some long, slow breaths. And then putting your blocks on their highest height again, coming back to that long back. Draw the belly in. And coming up, stepping forward. And we'll go to the second side for this one as well. Taking that stance, what feels good. And then when we hinge forward, don't forget you can move the belly to the side of this front leg to give yourself some more space. So we'll hinge forward, belly can come to the side, finding your blocks. The left hip can tack back a little bit. And some nice, long, slow breaths here. And then if you have access, lowering the blocks down, rounding the spine. And breathe, let the head and neck hang down. Couple of more breath cycles. Bringing the blocks back to their higher height. You have that long spine again. Press strongly into both feet. Draw the belly in. Letting yourself come up. Step forward. We'll do 3 cycles of breath. As we inhale, arms up. Exhale down. Third time, hands come to Anjali Mudra. Once more, pause to notice. Releasing the hands. Okay, we are going to come back down to the floor. And so have nearby your blocks, a bolster, and a couple of blankets. We're going to do a restorative pose at the end of class today, badha konasana. And you will need all of those. And anything else that you like for Shavasana, if you like to have a little eye covering, or you get chilly, you want to get a little zip-up jacket or something, go ahead and gather your supplies. I will meet you down on the floor. Okay, and first we are just going to come to back lying. And I would like you to have nothing under your head right now, because we are not going to need that for bridge pose, which is where we are going in a moment. Adjusted. Okay, when you find yourself settled on your mat, knees are bent, feet are flat on the ground, bring your chin toward your chest a little bit so you're creating some space in the back of your neck. We're just going to take several long, slow breaths here. I want you to feel the support of the earth beneath you. The comfort of being on your yoga mat. And again, calling to mind what safety and connection looks like for you in your life. Okay, now we're going to take the heels about as close to the hips as you can get them, or is comfortable for you. Toes are pointing straight forward, knees are straight up to the sky, and they are about hip distance apart. As you come to your next inhalation, press strongly into the shoulders, into the feet, pressing the hips up, only as far as feels comfortable. Take a couple of breaths here. Think of the knees moving away from the hips. And then gently coming down. Take a breath. Do that once more. Inhaling, pressing up. This time, also take the arms up and behind you. And breathe. Exhale, coming down. Take a couple of long, slow breaths. Do that once more, where the arms go behind you. So pressing the heels into the earth, lifting the hips, taking the arms up and over. Take a couple of long, slow breaths. And exhale, coming down. Bring both knees in toward the chest. I'm going to rock gently side to side here. And then pause at center. Take your left leg down, and you can take it all the way out if that's comfortable. Heel pressing into the ground, hugging the right knee into the chest. And then we can just circle the knee out a little bit here, in whatever way feels good to you. Bigger, smaller circles, whatever feels good. Just giving the hip joint some movement. And go in the second direction. And then bringing that leg down. Left knee in, right leg straight. And we'll start to circle. And second direction. Nice, everyone. Bring both knees in. Once more, hugging into the chest. And release both feet to the earth. Knees are still bent. This time we're going to take the feet about as wide as the mat. The arms can go out to the side, palms facing up. And let your knees fall to the right. Then come back to center on your inhale and over to the left. So make these windshield wipers of fluid motion. The exhales, the knees go to one side or the other. The inhales bring you back to center. And remember to do it at a pace that your breath feels soothing. So take your whole breath. It doesn't need to be your deepest breath, but a soothing breath. And back to center. And pause here. Take 2 long, deep breaths. And then roll to your side. Pressing yourself up. We'll set up together for badha konasana. And so it looks like this. One block on your medium height behind you. Another one on the smaller height. And I like to have mine going the longer way, so it looks like a T on your bolster. Or you can also use like a pillow if you have a pillow at home, or a couple of blankets rolled up. Place that on the blocks. This is going to be for your torso. I also like to have a blanket for my head and neck. That's just more comfortable for me, but that's not for everyone. So you can decide when you get there. And I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can place your legs for this. Also, you can always keep them straight if you feel like these ways are not going to work for you. If you have a couple of extra blocks or like a couple of extra pillows laying around, you can put your feet together and put those underneath. I like to use a blanket and I open it in this long way like this. And then I just roll it. And it doesn't need to be any specific, tightness or whatever. Just roll it as best that you can. Okay, just like this. And then I'm going to take my feet together in a place that feels comfortable for me. The blanket goes over the tops of the feet, and I bring my knees up a little and slide the tail of the blanket underneath my thighs. That feels really nice to me. Okay, and when you come back here, just remember that you can be as forward or as close to the bolster as you want to, as feels good for you. Just don't sit on the bolster. So I like to scoot forward a little bit and then let myself come back and then adjust your blanket for your head and neck. The arms can hang down to the side. Any movement that you would like to do to allow you to get settled. And if the legs are not working for you in this position, you can just go ahead and straighten them. And just start out in this restorative shavasana. Find your longer, softer breath again. That breath that was going all the way down to the pelvis, all the way through the low belly. And just letting yourself get settled. Those long, slow breaths. Letting your face, especially that space between your eyebrows, the upper and lower jaw, those can all be released from each other. Letting go of any tension in the shoulders. The back body is really supported by the bolster. So you can fully release into the support of that. No muscles need to hold on. You can trust that it's there to support you. Continue with a breath that feels comforting to you. And I'm going to read to you from a poem that was shared with our group this week. And the poem is by Max Ehrman, called Desiderata. Desiderata. And I'll read the parts that were shared with us that were in bold font in that message we received this week. Go placidly amidst the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and to listen to others. Even to the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. And let's do that once more. Go placidly amidst the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. Speak your truth quietly and clearly. Listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. And in the next few minutes, just let those words resonate with your body. You have a right to be here. You have a right to safety. You have a right to connection. You have a right to wisdom. A gentle awakening begins with some movement through the fingers, bringing the knees together, maybe wiggling the toes a little bit. Take a couple of long, deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, there is just a slight engagement of the belly, pressing the hands in to allow yourself to come up out of the pose. Meet together in a comfortable seat. Bring the palms together at heart center as a gesture to yourself, a recognition for your efforts to include a yoga practice in your day, to showing up for yourself. Thank you for being here. Namaste.